How's it going, YouTube? It's your host with the most, Romo Malo, back at it again with a new one for you guys. I got a professional mic and I am definitely going to be doing a lot of these close and intimate shots on a regular basis. Tell me what you think in the comments down below. How's it going, YouTube? It's your boy Romo Malo back at it again with a new video for you guys. So today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. I wanted to start a new series. It's going to be called the Romo Reviews, where I review random stuff. In today's video, we're going to be reviewing a movie, actually. It's a movie by the name of Who Killed Captain Alex? Now, when I first watched this movie, I couldn't stop laughing. It was the funniest movie to me because it was so terrible the first time I watched it. But I couldn't understand why people liked it so much. It has an IMDb rating of a 7.8 out of 10 with over 1,100 votes casted and over 898,000 views on YouTube. For context, this is a higher rating than the new Power Rangers movie or the new King Kong Skull Island movie, both sitting at a 7.1 out of 10 on IMDb. And even the movie Get Out scored only a 0.5 higher than this movie with just an 8.3 out of 10. This alone made my head spin. I was like, all right, there's gotta be something behind this movie for why people enjoyed it so much that they would actually give it such a high rating for such low quality. And that's where I found out. As this movie only had a $200 budget. $200, that was it. They made an entire movie for $200. All three other movies that I just mentioned had a budget between $4.5 and $185 million. You heard me right. This movie was made at $200. That's just 0.0000207253886010363% of the average budget of the other three movies combined. That's when I had to do some research to see why this is such a critically acclaimed film. So the first thing you want to know before going into this movie is that you have to know that this is the first ever action movie from Wakaliwood, aka the slums of Kampala, Uganda in Africa. So before you judge this movie on its quality, just know that this was made in a third world country. Being said, Wakaliwood has produced such classics as Attack on Nayegi Island and has another movie called Bad Black, which was actually slated to be released in 2016, but it's still in the works. I'm not very sure why it's held up. There is not much information on when we're gonna actually get a release date on that new movie. All of these movies have been pretty much all made by one guy by the name of Nabwana Isaac Godfrey Jeffrey and co-edited by his wife, Harriet. Once I knew that this was written, shot, directed, edited by a two-person army, I had a newfound respect for this movie. All of the props in the movie were all donations by the people of the village, and you can tell that they put a lot of thought and care into all of the props that went into the movie itself. But that's enough background. That's just to give you some background on the film. The first time I watched this, I overestimated the movie. I was like, oh, this is just pretty much Sharknado level. But when you actually start to watch the film, you actually start to almost fall in love with it. So let me just start off like this. As soon as you jump into the film pays homage to all of the other great films before it even starts. It starts off explaining that what you're about to witness is just lost footage that has been found on Nabwana's computer, and it tries to explain why it's in such low quality. I think I forgot to mention, this masterpiece is recorded in 480p. This is not even a 1080p film. This is a low quality, low budget masterpiece is what it is. Now, when you first watch the film, you're gonna notice that there is a man talking over the film the entire time.
Yeah, okay.
And you might think that you just got a bad bootleg copy. Know that this is actually part of the film. The guy on this film, his name is Emmy. What the guy is doing, and he's called a video joker. This is actually very popular in a lot of Ugandan movies, and he does explain that throughout the film. He does explain why he's talking through the film. He's actually the first ever English video joker. So the point of the video joker is that he explains and offers you a lighthearted jokes and analysis as the movie progresses. As you watch the movie, the video joker fills in for lots of the parts where the plot of the story might feel dull or boring by giving you jokes.
soldiers, but they are surrounded by the enemy. Yeah, music, some music.
I would say that he's just as important as anybody else in the rest of the movie, as it keeps the movie from becoming repetitive and boring. In my opinion, Emmy almost makes you feel like you're watching a movie with like a close friend while he's translating the film for you. The movie does have subtitles, but who wants to read when you can have someone just explain it to you as the movie progresses? But even though you have this person telling jokes over the top of the movie tries to take itself very seriously, and the acting itself isn't bad, but the special effect doesn't do it any favors. But that's just due to some of the limitations of the hardware that was actually on hand when Isaac was actually making this movie. So if you don't want to know the main plot of the story here, I recommend you click off now or go watch the movie and then come back to this later. So the movie itself opens with an interview of our main hero, Captain Alex, who has just been hired by the president to hunt down the head of the Tiger Mafia.
Only Alex can stop the mafias and kill them forever. Will you marry me? I prefer men.
Right from the jump, you can tell that Captain Alex is like the John McClane type of character in this film, and he knows it. He has a super cocky attitude. People just love him. As I watched the movie, it also pointed out a lot of the flaws in these third world countries. Right from the intro, shows you some of the harsh living conditions that these people live in. This movie really shines a light on these third world countries. Literally, if you remove the audio from the film and sub it with any other language, especially with some Spanish, it feels like I was back in the Dominican Republic. It really hit close to home. I literally have family that look like some of the people in this film. I'm not even gonna lie. But even with it pointing out some of these dark disparities, this movie really felt like what action movies used to be back in the day. It had all of the action-packed fights and shenanigans that seemed to just happen out of nowhere. Now, don't get me wrong, this film definitely has some downfalls, and it feels like they dropped a lot of the main plot just to add more fight scenes into the movie. It does lose you a little bit towards the middle of the film, but the good thing is that the start and end of the film do a really solid job of holding the middle together, and that's what makes this movie such a masterpiece. So out of this entire movie, the one thing that I can honestly say that the movie got right was how it ended. So as you can tell from the movie's title, you're trying to find out who killed Captain Alex. The only problem is that Captain Alex dies off camera, so you don't see who kills him. Now that alone shocked me, because the movie builds up Captain Alex as the main hero who's gonna be riding through this entire story, and I thought that he was gonna die towards the end of the film. He actually dies very close to the beginning of the film. So it almost feels like they're just killing off the main character out of nowhere. But the good thing here is that shortly after his death, almost instantly, they introduce you to Captain Alex's brother, who also magically happens to be a kung fu master as well. I don't know how this movie just took that sharp turn from an action movie to a kung fu movie, but they did such a good job of blending into it. It almost felt like The Walking Dead, where you kill off a main character and you just shrug it off like nothing happened. You just have to keep living. But it was perfectly done on their part when they did that. And right off the bat, it gives you the feeling as though no one is safe from dying in this movie. Now, the main villain in this movie is the head of the Tiger Mafia. Now, that is an homage to classic films of yesteryear, where you have a very vaguely named gang that our main protagonist needed to fight in order to reach the plot ending. Now, the first time that you're ever introduced to the main villain, you're gonna know it right from the start. This man demands the audience respect and attention. As the movie moves along, you also get introduced to the love interest, who also happens to be the ex-girlfriend slash wife, it's really not cleared up on what exactly she is, of the main villain. Now she becomes the main love interest to our hero, the Kung Fu Master. So she falls in love with the Kung Fu Master shortly after she is betrayed by our main villain in the story. And then she's found by our Kung Fu Master, who helps her after she's been wounded. Shortly after that, you do get also a training montage where it feels like the older movies, where they're building up the main protagonist. In this case, it's our Kung Fu Master, where he's training in weird places, doing some weird kicks, and in the background you have the main love interest just falling in love for this guy. In my opinion, the love subplot, love triangle that might be going on, to me feels actually a bit rushed at first, but then it does slowly start to build upon it throughout the film, but then it just completely disappears at the end, and really just nailing home the action-packed part of the movie.
Oh, I'm so hungry. Finally, I get to eat. What the fuck?
And that's where it gets even better. It's towards the end, is when we approach the end of the film, is when the movie just goes full Rambo. They pull out all of the special effects and the best fight scenes that you're ever gonna see in every possible location possible. The fights themselves feel real enough as to make them feel as if there's some type of real sense of danger. This is where the movie really shines. The movie just gets more interesting as it comes to an end, and the closing scene is almost just like a giant cliffhanger. The movie itself closes with a military official watching the news and getting a call from the president of Uganda asking what happened in the area, and he replies with everything was okay and safe, and that they enjoyed their martial law, and even though seconds earlier it looked like World War III was breaking out in Uganda, they literally wrapped this up in a military conspiracy. It was a military cover-up, and they called it a day. That ending alone had me with more questions than anything else. I really want to see them make a sequel to this, and the video Joker himself actually hinted towards this towards the end of the film.
You're all dead! I will kill you all in sequel!
But nothing has been confirmed by Wakaliwood themselves. Now, I want to wrap up this video with, even though this movie has a ton of failures and flaws and plot holes, this movie makes you forget all of it. It felt like I was really watching one of those old classic action-packed movies from the 80s in just a third world country setting. In my opinion, this movie gets a solid A- just due to effort alone. The hard work and dedication that was put into this movie overcomes a lot of the production quality issues. But please, don't take my word for it. I left a link down in the comments with Isaac's YouTube channel where you can find this amazing film and a lot of other amazing content. But this is where I'm going to leave you guys. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share with your friends if you want more content. And I'll see you guys in the next one.
I remember syrup sandwiches and crime allowances. Finesse a nigga with some counterfeits, but now I'm counting this. Parmesan where my accountant lives. In fact, I'm down in this. You say with my